of December 2020. As we begin our program, we have some housekeeping rules that we want to inform you about. Rule number 1, thou shalt not use language that is defamatory, insulting, offensive or slanderous to the hosts, guests, and public officials or persons in general. Thou shalt not listen to thyself on the radio, as it may cause feedback or echo. Thou shalt turn your radio down. You will be able to hear the host through the phone, so turn your radio down, please. Thou shalt practice good etiquette when expressing your viewpoint. Thou shalt choose to identify the area that thou art calling from. Thou shalt respect the views of other callers without making insults or abuses with reference to previous callers, even though you may disagree with the caller's point of view. And thou shalt be gentle and civil at all times. So, ladies and gentlemen, listeners in the diaspora, those who can hear me through radio, we welcome you to our Constituency Vibe. We have an announcement. The United Workers' Party Flabo Fun Fest. It's a digital event. It's a bingo. The tickets are $10, and you have raffle tickets, 2 for $5. And all the bingo cards and tickets are reusable, as this will be an activity that will be taking place twice a month, but it is a one-time cost when you purchase it. So please, members and supporters, feel free to patronize and to get that activity going. Tonight, we also pay tribute to Mr. Victorine Lawrence, affectionately known as Sugar or Sick. He was a passionate person involved in youth development, advocacy, sports. He was a trainer, community development enthusiast, a stalwart of the NYC. He was originally from Canaries, and he lived in the Castries Southeast Bexar area. So our sincere condolences to the brother in that regard. Okay. This program, Constituency Vibes, focuses on the United Workers' Party's government holistic approach to sustainable development in a people-centered way to build a new St. Lucia. The United Workers' Party government believes that human development is about expanding the choices available to people in order to live valuable lives. A fundamental part of expanding those choices, ladies and gentlemen, is building human capacities, the range of things that people can achieve in their life. The United Workers' Party government, from a policy perspective, believe strongly that people's well-being and their quality of life is the most important measure of development. The UWP government has a strong focus on resilience, which in essence refers to the strength of a person or community to resist shocks, manage crises, and to grow stronger. This is also out of a strong commitment and belief that people must be empowered with the tools and knowledge to build themselves, families, and their own communities, and the nation by extension. This is reflected through the broad philosophy underpinning of planned strategic interventions designed to address the injustices and wounds that needs resistance and to help the many causes that needs assistance throughout the length and breadth of St. Lucia. Tonight, we welcome on our program Senator the Honorable Mary Isaac, Minister for Health and Wellness, and Senator the Honorable Fortuna Belrose, Minister in the Ministry of Tourism, Information and Broadcasting, Culture and Creative Industries, with responsibility for culture and creative industries. Ministers, welcome to Constituency Vibes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, and good night.
Minister Belrose, we'll start. You were in the community development, youth and sports, and I know you know Sick and Sugar very well.
Yes.
And his passing is indeed sad and untimely. Your reflections on...
Yeah, well, I think I've known Sick for the last, I would say, 34 years or so, and very early, because he served in the District Youth and Sports Councils, and he was the president of the one in Canaries, where he actually originally is from, and he also served in Castries South. And Sick was always very vocal, passionate, about the things that he believed in. And that's why I think he stayed in the movement for such a long time, working towards the end in the Football Association with young people as an event officer, and also facilitating a number of programs for young people, across the country with respect to football. So it is indeed a great loss for the football fraternity, but not only football, but for young people he would have impacted, across, the western part, of the island. And so we say heartfelt, condolences to his family and the fraternity that he has left behind. But yeah, he had presence, on the ground in communities within that area.
Thank you very much, Minister. You want to add anything?
Well, I think maybe I should just send out condolences to those persons who we have lost to COVID-19. We have had 4 cases, and unfortunately, we have had a few losses. So I'm sending out condolences to the families and friends of all of these loved ones that we have lost due to COVID-19.
St. Lucians at home and abroad in the diaspora tonight, we have lots of things to talk about. Minister Belrose under her portfolio, increase in the Creole Heritage Subvention, increased financial injections in Carnival, the city development, village tourism, events St. Lucia, the home care program, contributions to the creative sector, the cultural economy, women and the elderly, and the approach to changing mindsets, capital injections in FRC, CDF, a whole set of things. Peter Drucker, who is considered to be the father of modern management theory, states that the ultimate resource in economic development is people. It is people, not capital or raw materials, that develop an economy. Minister, you have a long career in involvement in community development, working and helping everyone, red or otherwise. You are a resident of the constituency of Castries East. So share with us, Minister, your view, Castries office, you've lived there for a long while.
Castries East. I'm a Castries,
right in the city basin, its development, its evolution. What you see happening over 25 years plus?
Yeah, interesting, and for me as Minister for Culture, and culture is about people. And I think earlier on you read some of the statements from our party in terms of our people and what we want. Culture is about people. And when we talk about people, we're talking about their passion and their values and what they stand for, and what we as a society are doing to ensure that we instill the right values, in our citizens. There's also the question of the empowerment of our citizens, which you alluded to earlier. What are we doing with respect to creating that environment where people feel empowered, where they're able to determine their own destiny, where they are independent and not too dependent, on the system, and of course building that resilience, around what they do. We also have the area of opportunity within culture, which allows us now to be able to provide the pathways, you understand, for persons to come through, and when I say that, I mean, initiatives like what we're doing with respect to the ambassadorial program that allows us to see who those persons are with the values that we would love our whole society, to model and emulate, yes, that is happening. And then there's the other dimension with respect to culture, with respect to prosperity, because you want to live in a society that is prosperous, and how do we do that? How do we achieve that? And in an environment where people feel comfortable and free and safe, to be able to do that. And then, of course, you want to be able to live in that environment where it's clean, it's fresh, etc. So within the culture, I mean, these are some of the critical things that we are looking at with respect to our people. What do we stand for, as a people? What do we value? How do we showcase what we value, to those up-and-coming St. Lucians so they know and we can celebrate that, over time. And, of course, how do we make those opportunities that are there financially viable, you understand, for those persons who are coming through. So these are some of the areas that we are looking at around culture, and we can have some discussions in all of those areas.
Indeed, wonderful. Minister, some development theories and leaders...
you did ask me about castries, eh?
Yes.
We've not gone there yet.
Yes, we're going there. Believe that the 21st century economy is an economy of people, not about factories, and that the intellectual aspect, the human factor, has become increasingly important in the economy. So culture as a tool of economic development. Your views?
Yeah, and I think that is the point for us, you know, as a government. Culture is who we are. And as citizens of this country, what are we doing to ensure that our citizens are capable and able at all times? And so you asked earlier about how far we've come. We are now an independent nation, 42 years soon, you understand, to be 42 years old. And within those 42 years, how have we progressed, you know, as a community and as a society? Yes, there have been lots of physical development across St. Lucia. In some communities, non-existent for you know, that has not happened in some areas. Some areas have remained the same, we know, for eons. But, you know, there have been some development across the country. We're talking across St. Lucia. And so we've seen some level of physical development. But I think in terms of human development, there's still a lot of work that we need to do. Yes, you have a good many persons in the society who have gone on to achieve. But in terms of the personal development and understanding that you have a contribution to make to your society, so that even when you receive the training, you receive the education, but that sense of giving back to society, you understand, giving back to humanity, you know, it's something that we need to continue to work at ensuring that our citizens understand that they have to, you know, make that contribution. Because you've benefited, and there are others who need help around you. So you now have a responsibility and an obligation to contribute to making that happen. And that's why we believe with the ambassadorial program, we can continue to sell that model so St. Lucians can see, yes, you have achieved, but you have a responsibility, you know, to just give back, you know, in a meaningful way. Some people, it just come naturally for them, but others would have to make that effort to give back, you know, in the society, you know, in a way that others can learn from, you know, and adopt the right ethos and habits that we would want.
Culture also involves elements of transformation. So we were talking about castries. Castries is an area you're familiar with. You have seen what's happening or what is not happening. How do we transform that basin within castries? Critical.
Yeah. But there's a lot that can be done. I mean, when you look at Castries East itself, in terms of the history of Castries, you look at Castries East. Castries East used to be the mecca of activity within the city. You know, Castries East was the place to be. Whether it be after school, Sunday morning, whatever it is, there was always some activity happening within the Castries East area. In recent times, of course, well, COVID played a part, but I think in terms of the depth of programming that used to happen in that community, I think we've lost that over time. And so they lost it because there was no effort being placed into making it happen. You know, in previous years, maybe 10, 15, 30 years ago, it happened. But for some reason, we've lost, you know, that ability to pull that community in a way that it deserves. And that's why we attempted to begin to bring out those persons in that community who kept it alive. You know, we began that project, and I think the feedback was very good from that. And we will continue. It's a project that we will continue because people are clamoring, you understand, to give recognition to those persons who have served that community well, and those persons who have been the pillars, you understand, in that society where other citizens now can learn and grow from the support that they will continue to give, because there's a commitment by a lot of the people in the community to be able to do. But one must give the recognition and accept the fact that we need each other to be able to make it happen. We cannot adopt a posture, you understand, of thinking that it's only one side, which is what we've seen in recent times. You know, and I think the community was too divided politically. And all that, again, in terms of our culture, in the last 4 years, we have sought to ensure that everybody matters. You understand? Every citizen in this country matters. And at least as roles as senator, myself, our role was ensuring that not one citizen was disenfranchised, you understand, because they did not support the United Workers' Party. Our responsibility was to make sure that our citizens were equally taken care of.
Indeed, people-centered and
Yes.
a holistic approach, as The aspect of cultural economics in terms of how do we use culture and entertainment? You have events and Lucia, you have a lot of things within your portfolio.
Yeah.
Share with us.
Yeah. One of the things the first thing we did was to establish events in Lucia when we came in, because we recognized that St. Lucia, was rich in culture, heritage, and we needed to package that in a way that the society would significantly benefit from it. It was there all the time, the events were happening, but I think in terms of putting structure, around it so that the society can really benefit was what we sought to do. And so Events in Lucia was born as a result of that. And of course, with Events in Lucia, we've now been able to set, long-term planning with respect to our events. And what we've been able to do is also bring some stability and ensure that those persons in the various fraternities of the arts understand and can plan, for the events that would be happening around St. Lucia. In fact, this weekend we're going to be doing some strategic planning, particularly around the carnival programming, to ensure that we get it right next year. Hopefully, with the advent of the vaccine, we should have our program being rolled out. But again, with Events in Lucia, I think what it has done is just provided for us the opportunity for us to be able to do the work that is required in a very structured way. The government remains committed to it. The government has made, and it's not just about doing those things, but more importantly, putting our money where our mouth is. And so the government of St. Lucia, this government of the United Workers' Party, this government was able to increase the budget significantly, for the arts. In the case of the Creole Heritage Month, which is our major celebration, and Creole Heritage spans across all religious areas, because we're all St. Lucians. It's one of the biggest events that we had. We moved from $26,000 when we came in,
really,
to now $600,000 for this event.
Well, that's a substantial
And
investment.
we celebrate the whole month, and not just a day, which is what used to happen in the past. So the government is committed, and the government, when we say we're going to do something, we make it happen, and we try to do it in the right way. That's the approach that we have taken, to it. So this was what we did for Creole Heritage, ensure that we had a whole month-long celebration, which impacts our economy in a very big way. And you saw how the response to the Love St. Lucia campaign, has really taken off as a result of the work that is happening. Through, of course, one can see the visionary efforts of Folk Research, because they began this program in 1987, 88. But then, in terms of making it stick, and doing what it takes to cement all the parts to make it happen in the right way, I think our government is the one really taking, ensuring that happens.
Okay. Great things happening, indeed. Continued progress and pushing forward. In the home care program, it's a very important program in terms of providing a level of stability and empowerment and growth.
Yes, and I think one of the critical things for us is in terms of our values and how we cherish our people and how we treat our elderly citizens. And so the home care program is a significant program which we've built on in terms of what was there before. Previously it was called what was it, not the STEM?
Nice.
The NICE, it was a NICE program, but it's now called the Home Caregivers Program. And I can speak specifically for Castries because I'm more intimately, involved in what is happening with respect to that program on the ground. And I think in terms of the care for the communities, we've been able to work with a group of women who are phenomenal. And over the last 4 years, we've seen the transformation of these women themselves, who are caring for people in the communities. It's natural that women learn to care for people because, we grew up as young women. They teach you how to care for your elderly, your children, etc. But it's amazing to see the way these women work. And for me, it really came home where, as I attend the funerals of the elderly who pass on, to see the way the women are involved in signing registers, and being with the families, and the families asking to assist them in the grieving process. So it's just amazing. And I think for us, it shows the level of commitment this government has to the citizenry, particularly the vulnerable people who are not able, to afford to give service in the way that to their loved ones as they would want it to. And so this program is a significant program. We've been able to arrange it properly. We have great leadership, great team spirit, great cooperation, and I think the community itself, has really given us the thumbs up with respect to what is happening on the ground in this program in the community. The people in the community who are receiving it know that they can call SSDF anytime if there is any issue. And so that feedback has been significant and wonderful. And from a cultural standpoint, I think we love the way and the impact, it's having on the ground, for our citizens.
When we look at different cultures, I think the Japanese are well known for taking care of the elderly. I think we do that a lot, but we seem to have lost that over time. And I think that program helps restore a lot of that kind of value.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you see, it's not, the program is one thing, but I think having the right people, in the program to ensure that the correct values are espoused or shared, as they deliver, I think is significant. And that is one of the testimonies, I think, that we bring, maybe the Senator as well as Minister of Health. We understand those dynamics on the ground, and it's very interesting to see how within this program we've been able to connect in a very great way, with the rest of our society and our people who are not vulnerable, are very vulnerable.
Minister, the statistics tell us that 43% of our population is below the age of 30, and so a very youthful population. So the creative industries, that's where you have a lot of youthful energy, generous segment, you have a lot of things happening. How has the government been able to work with the creative sector? What are the programs? What is happening in that regard?
Yes, well, there are a number of things that we are doing within the Ministry of Creative Industries. As you know, we have events in Lucia that takes care of the production to showcase that talent. We have the Cultural Development Foundation, which is focused primarily now on training and development and preparation of young people, for the grand stage, which is what Events in Lucia is offering. And then within the ministry itself, we have those support grants that young people can apply for, you understand, as they look to improve their craft or move on, to different levels, within the work that they are doing. So the opportunities are there for them. We have officers in the ministry who sit and work with young people who have ideas with respect to what they would want to do, and that is available. We also, like I said, we have the ambassadorial program that we've been able to make available to them, and we have experts really in various fields of endeavor who can be available to any young person at any point in time with respect to their program, and who can be there to mentor young people as well. And the key for us with respect to the creatives now is to ensure that our Cultural Development Foundation work with those artists to ensure that they can now monetize their work, so that they can earn from it. As it is now, it's a very challenging time. COVID has really created a nightmare, for us. But I think the value of the creatives is that they can now, use their creative energies, to improve on their craft, to do better, and to utilize the resources that we have now in terms of the social media, you understand, to be able to do the work that they have to do within themselves. So we are driving people in that direction. There are opportunities for training. There are personnel that they can come to and engage. And also, we have the opportunities for them to be able to express that on stage for our agencies. COVID, of course, has dealt us a great blow, but we've moved to the virtual programming for a number of events. Of course, and you saw that during the Creole Heritage Month, we began around that time. And so it's a new area for us, but I think we are learning fast, and the folks within the industry are supporting and buying into, the programming that is happening now.
Let's just zero in on the creative industry a little, in the sense that, Jamaica is reggae, Trinidad, the soca, and we know that with the general segment, we St. Lucia seem to have been open that area, that sphere.
Yes.
So how is the government taking that as a product, to be able to develop and grow?
Yeah. Well, currently we have the mandate of the Cultural Development Foundation, which is to continue to train, assist them. We also, like I said, working with some of the artists with respect to monetizing their book and getting them to move to the next level. We're also looking at the development of the studios, and I don't want to talk about the studios again, because I know we have the studios to develop. They are in process. It's taken a while, but we're providing that support for them. We also have a number of young people who have applied to have their own studios within their own homes, and we've been able to support a few artists in that respect, and they are doing their thing. as well, of course, with the condition that they would support other young artists like themselves who may want to get involved, in the business. And then the key thing for us is to ensure that when we provide opportunities, we give those young talent, the young talent that we've trained, we've prepared, we give them that stage. And even those now who are in their own, because it's really private enterprise, it's your own business. You understand? It's not a government business. What government does is create the environment for people to flourish and thrive. You understand? But generally, what we do is to give them that stage so they can perform, and then, of course, get the opportunities and secure the contracts, from the opportunities that they would have to perform in communities.
Okay, wonderful. Just on Carnival, you pointed out the government has pumped $3 million.
Yes, but when we came in, it was 1 point something million that was being spent on Carnival, but we put in 3 million because we recognize the value and contribution that Carnival makes, not just in terms of the display, but the connections across communities, across St. Lucia, the vendors, and all of those persons, who benefit, from the Carnival product economically. So we've invested to get it right. And it's unfortunate this year we didn't have the Carnival, but I think all systems are set for the delivery of a great Carnival next year, once we can get past the COVID virus.
Okay, wonderful. We have good things in store there. Castries City development, the government has put some emphasis on that, and some level of the tourism activity. I don't know if we can call it city tourism.
Yeah.
What's happening in that way?
Yeah. Well, I think the new concept is, in terms of the Castries development, yes, that is there. But as you know, there is the concept called village tourism, where we really encourage in all communities, the communities across the country, to assess themselves and to offer, you understand, themselves to the visitors coming in, and in many ways it's a joy because you have people from Castries who have never been to Viewport or Soufrière or Choiseul. You understand? So the objective is for us to get our citizens moving, across various parts of the island.
So domestic tourism as well.
Domestic tourism, local tourism, yeah. Across the country is something that we would want to do. And every community has the potential to do that. And yeah, and if you look at Castries, the beauty of that place is, the first water station in Castries is located there. We have the homes of a number of firsts in Castries, the first commissioner of police, the first chief fire officer, the first, so there are so many historical places within the communities, you understand, that one can easily develop a tour and a package, you understand, to visitors to come into those communities. So the concept of the village tourism is good. It's about bringing economic activity to the communities, bringing people to the communities, and of course ensuring that our citizens understand the value of the environment that they are in, and taking advantage of those benefits or opportunities that are there. So this is part of what we're doing with respect to the village tourism, and of course Castries in terms of the redevelopment. You see it opening up the city in a way that people can, not feel choked in, like we did. You saw the square, the work that happened at the square in terms of removing the barriers, so that it can be a place that there's a lot more relaxation and freedom, you understand, by the citizens of this country, and where events can, be organized. And that place can really become the heart and center, of life in the city.
Indeed, Minister. A lot is happening in culture, the creative arts, and of course we will turn our attention to one of the more critical aspects as well. They say the health of a nation is the wealth of a nation.
Absolutely.
And on the health front, we recognize that health is arguably one of the main pillars of economic development, and that the approach and the philosophy of the government has fully embraced, especially the prominence in which the health sector has been given in the medium-term development strategy as well, to ensure that government ensures that health is key. And a lot is happening in health. Just to inform St. Lucians, and our program is about informing you and giving you that information. So I will go through some of the things that Minister will elaborate on in terms of the great work the government is doing. A sustainable and inclusive St. Lucia by 2013 and the medium-term development strategy. The plan is to achieve 100% access to quality healthcare for all St. Lucians, increase access to healthcare, development of the financing network for health provision, commissioning in the OKEU, St. Jude's Hospital wing development, improve wellness and health, increasing the average immunization rate for children between the ages of 0 to 5 years old, reduced percentage of diabetic patients with high blood pressure, hypertension as well. And a lot of things has been happening: improve access to the health services, construction of the new Ansteri Wellness Center, construction of the Mikul Wellness Center, construction of the Dennery Polyclinic is on the way, rehabilitation of 12 wellness centers under the Smart Hospital Initiative, securing $20 million to implement the National Health Insurance, successful transition of the hospital services from Victoria to OKEU. You have Victoria Hospital as the respiratory center. So a lot is happening in health, Minister, to ensure that we remain strong and healthful. We know the impacts of COVID and how it impacts the economy. So,
but it seems that you know everything that we are doing in health. You have the history and all the works of health down packed. I don't know. We started on a sort of a very somber note, but this is the Christmas season, and it is time to be jolly. Of course, we are not seeing a lot of joy around because of COVID, but that should not stop us from enjoying the Christmas season. However, we must remind everybody to follow the protocols, adhere to all the protocols, so that we can continue to enjoy our beautiful country. It is because people have been following the protocols to a large extent that now we have been able to relax the protocols a little, especially for restaurants and bars and so on. So I hope that the people are realizing that, or recognizing that, as much as we do not want to have to shut things down and prevent people from having that freedom, it really is up to them how much freedom they gain, because their behavior is what determines how we move from here on. So I just want to remind our country that we are in the festive season, and we ought to be able to celebrate Christmas, not the way we usually do, but we have to do so, of course, with the health of the nation at the forefront. A lot is happening in health, and it is sad that it had to take a COVID to make the majority of our people realize that health is wealth. Your health has to come first. And I often argue that health is even more important. The Ministry of Health is even more important than the Ministry of Finance. Because without the people, without healthy people, you cannot bring in the revenue or anything else. So health is of paramount importance to us here. Like you said, we have retrofitted the Victoria Hospital and turned it into a respiratory hospital. We have the 13 wellness centers, and we are encouraging people to embrace public health, community health care. Instead of everybody running to OKEU every time there is a little emergency or something. Usually a lot of the things they come to OKEU for, a lot of the problems they come to OKEU for, the minor problems. These little problems can be sorted out in the wellness centers, in community.
And whilst you're on that, Minister, perhaps a very critical point, there seems to be the perception that we have made great strides in primary health care. And our people seem to feel as soon as they're sick, they must go to St. Jude's, they have their fingers cut, they have to go to. So just elaborate on some of the things we have done in the primary health care to be able to let St. Lucians know that we have great health services across the nation that they can access.
Yeah, we have the clinics in the wellness centers, on different days we have different clinics happening, and people in the community can just go there and the doctor will check them out and make sure that check their health and tell them what is the health status. But some people wait until they are sick. You do not have to wait until you are sick to go for a checkup. And you can do that in your community, because the doctors come around island-wide to visit, and the different days they have the different clinics. People can make note of that, and when they need to see a doctor, they can easily see a doctor in one of our wellness centers. Like I said, and you mentioned, we have retrofitted the wellness centers to make them more green, to make them, more environmentally friendly. And our wellness centers are very well kept. The nurses are very, very, very accommodating and very nice and everything. So, and this is part of our primary care. If we can just manage to embrace primary care in a meaningful way, we will be reducing on the amount of visits that we pay to a hospital in our secondary care institutions. So people have to be mindful of the fact that, like you said, we have made a lot of strides in primary care. We have the vaccines that are free. We go around the schools to give the vaccines to school children, but with COVID, we have not really been able to do so. But people can take their children to the health centers to get those, to access those vaccines, you know, and so on. So there is a lot happening in healthcare, but our people, in my mind, and from what I have observed, they do not take their health seriously until there is something wrong.
Crisis.
And we ought not to look at health that way. We have to be, just like you have a vehicle. You go for a tune-up once every 3 months or whenever you reach a certain amount of miles. The same way, you have to do the same thing with your body. We also have a lot of people who are diabetic, a lot of people who are hypertensive, because we do not watch our diet. We do not check what we are eating. We do not check when we eat and how we eat. We have to be, and now we have these programs, the Buy Local campaign programs, where we are encouraging people to eat what they grow and to buy locally. When you buy the local produce, the local foods, you know what it is that you are eating. You know that, you know how long it has been on the shelf. You know that it is more or less fresh when you buy local and you eat local. So our people ought to be practicing more health care for themselves. Take care of your health, so that at the end of the day, you do not end up having to rush to a hospital because, you know, you have high blood pressure and you were not even aware you are hypertensive. We have a lot of people who are hypertensive. And we have the HEARTS program at the Ministry of Health, where they are teaching people how to live a better lifestyle, so that they can, people with hypertension, people with high blood pressure, so that they can increase their lifespan, so that they can live a healthier life while you know they're enjoying life. So these are just some of the things that we are doing at the Ministry of Health. Yes, there is COVID, but if we follow the protocols, we will keep ourselves safe. We have seen that.
Yes.
The statistics, the data is showing us that this is what we ought to be doing. So while the mask is very uncomfortable, we don't like wearing the mask. I don't like wearing the mask. But we don't have much choice right now. We do not have too many alternatives. We have the face shield, which is also not very comfortable. But we have to tolerate that for a little while longer. Hopefully the vaccine is rolling out. By next year, maybe March, April, May, we should have access to the vaccine, and you know, we can take it from there. So I am saying to our St. Lucian people, everybody that's listening, let us take care of our health. Let us protect each other in this season where, you know, people drink excessively, they eat excessively. Let us control that behavior. Let us go slow, or how would I say it? Let us relax on the rum a little bit more, because we go for the rum, we have all this rum, and then after Christmas we are paying for it. We are at the hospital, we are, you know,
exercise.
We are at home, and so on. Also, Minister is mentioning exercise, healthy lifestyles. We have to, we can exercise. Even that is one of the things that we were able to do throughout this whole COVID episode. You can walk by yourself. You do not have to walk with anybody else. So you can walk, exercise, make sure that, you know, you keep yourself healthy by doing so. You know, and that should help our healthcare system a lot, because government is never going to have enough money to take care of everybody's health. So we are the ones who have the responsibility to take care of our health. Everybody wants to talk about OKEU. Yes, we have a nice new hospital, but is that really where you want to end up? You know, you have to try not to end up at OKEU. Victoria Hospital, the respiratory hospital, this is where we take everybody with any respiratory illness. So if you have an asthma attack, we would first have to take you there to make sure you get tested, that it is not, you know, a COVID reaction or something like that. So we take people to the respiratory problems to the respiratory hospital. If you do not have, if you test negative for COVID, then you are taken to the OKEU hospital where the relevant doctor is going to take care of you and so on. But if you have COVID, you are admitted at the respiratory hospital, you are placed in isolation. Now, it is not a hotel and it is not a normal hospital. So you are in isolation. So it is not as comfortable as everybody would like it to be. We have retrofitted the place. We are making it as comfortable as possible, but it is not as comfortable as your home. It is not as comfortable as OKEU. It is not, a hotel. So when people go to that hospital, they still remain isolated in their room. The rooms that we have completed so far, they have bathroom, toilet facility, and so on. So you stay in your room. That is the requirement. Okay? And we have done our best to make it look very pretty, very pleasant. We have not completed all the different wings, but we will have sufficient beds when we are finished. We will have about 128 beds when we are finished retrofitting the Victoria Hospital.
Minister, because we have COVID, and then you pointed out some of the other areas of hypertension and so forth, diabetes. Everything seems to be focused on COVID, but I know a lot of work is done with HIV management, issues, syphilis, tuberculosis, a lot of things happening, a lot of the other aspects of health. So I just want you to share a little more on that. So there seems to be just that focus on COVID, and everything is COVID.
Yeah, we are mostly focused. You hear a lot about COVID in the media and in the public and so on. But it doesn't mean that the other programs are on the back burner as a result of that, because at the Ministry of Health, we have different people taking care of different problems. So the people who are in charge of the whole COVID response, and you hear a lot about the command center, some of these people are not even persons who work at the Ministry of Health per se. They were brought together to take care of, to respond to the whole COVID issue. But we do have the HIV and AIDS unit, where these people, that group of people, this segment of our patients are taken care of. We have, under the Global Fund grant, these people receive free medication. And that is a program that is ongoing, but the grant is renewed depending on how much effort is put into, renewing it as a government program. So we do have finance from Global Fund to assist persons with HIV and AIDS. We also have a program for sex workers, for instance. We have sex workers, men having sex with men. We have a unit that takes care of, these persons. And, everybody else, all the other illnesses are being taken care of while we manage the COVID response. So nobody is being left behind because it's health for all.
Minister, everybody wants to know the south of the island in terms of St. Jude's, what is happening, any update on St. Jude's this year?
Well, I know that the work is progressing very fast. We are hoping that, we should be able to see that hospital become operationalized in the first quarter of next year. It is not my portfolio in terms of the infrastructure, and this is what is going on right now. That is not health's portfolio. But we get actively involved when the structure is completed, and of course the keys are handed over to us. That is where we really get involved. But we cannot wait for that hospital to open, to be completed, because then we will be able to move from the stadium into the new facility. As you know, the stadium really was not meant to house a hospital, but we have done the best that we could, and I know that the staff of the St. Jude Hospital, the staff that are in the stadium, they have been under a lot of pressure, but they are handling it, with I don't know how they do it on a daily basis, because we have had so many challenges in that stadium. It is a structure that is getting old. It's an old plant, and it's always needing renovation here and there. And now with COVID, they have had to retrofit some parts, some places inside of that hospital, you know. So it's not easy for the people, the staff and the patients who come to the St. Jude Hospital. And we have to applaud these people for the work that they do in that hospital, because they are doing an amazing job, you know, holding the fort down in the south. Also, we would like to have a COVID, a facility to house or isolate COVID patients in the south, because now we have to go take them on ambulance from the north, from the south, all the way to Castries to VH. So we would like to have a facility where we can house, you know, COVID patients. But for now, we have not been able to identify any such facility that is going to work for us right now. So, St. Jude, it is coming along. We are hoping sooner rather than later.
What are some of the services that we'll be getting at St. Jude's in terms of it's been the expansion or any new programs or new things will be added onto?
From all indication, it will be, I believe, maybe the same or higher level hospital than the OKEU hospital. The furniture that has been ordered so far, I know, is top of the line furniture. We have, we will be having the dialysis facility, which is almost complete. We have a helipad on top of that hospital. They are building a helipad, which we do not have neither at OKEU or anywhere else. And there are some other services, I believe, that we will be seeing coming up at the new St. Jude Hospital that are not available on island right now.
Thank you very much, Minister. Listeners and viewers, our lines are open also. The number is 456-0931. With us tonight on Community Vibes, we have Minister of Health, Senator the Honorable Mary Isaac, and of course with us as well as Senator the Honorable Fatima Belrose, Minister within the Ministry of Tourism as it relates. We have a caller. Good night, caller.
Hello, good night, Minister. Good night to your program. Good night, Mr. Madam Minister.
Good night, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, Miss Mary Isaac, I have been trying to get to you for the next while. I tried to leave so many messages for you to see if you could call me back. But I won't come on the line and embarrass you, but I want you to hold that number and call me back. That's a schoolmate of you from Bexon.
Okay.
And I would like to meet you personal or talk to you, but not on the line.
Okay. So you can meet me at the Ministry of Health on Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon this week.
Yes, that's right.
All right, and if you care to get to me before that, I'll give you a number for you you could call me.
Okay.
All right, caller.
Yeah, 725 2099.
2099.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. I can't elaborate on the phone.
We understand, caller.
To talk to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, you're on to Constituency Vibes. The number is 456-0931. We're discussing health as well as community, creative arts, culture, and in the government's attempt to develop a new St. Lucia and to take St. Lucia to new heights of progress. St. Lucians, a lot is happening. Sometimes I think it is perhaps our own fault. They say we don't blow our own trumpet. The United Workers' Party has always been a workers' party, not a party that's really trumpeting. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Constituency Vibes. Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. How is everyone doing? Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, I just want to say to Senator Mary Isaac and Minister Belrose, you all are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
Work. I know you all know who is speaking. You all continue to do the fantastic work you all are doing. And I just want to say God bless you all and continue doing what you're doing. May God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And again, St. Lucia, the number is 456-0931. Anything else you need to add on the creative arts sector?
No, I just want to say, as I listen to Minister, I think, and we talk in culture, it's about us developing that culture of taking care of ourselves, you know, and for all the diseases, HIV, whether it be HIV, whether it be COVID, whether it be diabetes, it's all about managing yourself. Ensuring that you exercise, you do your, take care of your person in terms of your personal hygiene, etc. And these are basic things within the culture, you know, our people should know. You know, it's sad that, you know, we have this routine issue with maintenance, not only of physical structures, but our own bodies.
Just hold the line a minute,
you know, and so we need to ensure that we maintain ourselves and take care of our bodies, you know, as citizens of the country.
Welcome, caller.
Hello.
Hello, good night, welcome.
Good night.
Good night, welcome to Constituency Vibes.
Yes, the volume is a little bit low.
Good night.
Good night.
Yes,
I'd like to ask the Ministry of Health. Good night. Hello.
Good
Yeah,
night.
we can hear you,
Hey,
we can hear you, caller.
I'd like to ask the Ministry of Health.
Yes, Dr. Mondesi, go ahead.
I'd like to ask you, what is the condition of the MRI and the scan that's in the new hospital?
Okay.
I want to ask you because I'm curious to find out what is the condition of the MRI and the scan that was donated by the European Union. Are they functioning?
Right now, these are not functioning, no.
Why is it not functioning? It's a brand new machine.
Hello, caller, is that all you want to ask? The minister will respond.
There's a lot I could ask.
I realize you could ask a lot because I guess, you know, when you left a lot behind. Right?
Tell me what I left behind.
Well, I suppose you left all of these things behind, but the MRI machine is not functioning right now. Neither is the scanner. Not only.
Because I left two machines like this. But why is it not functioning? It's a brand new machine. But I can tell you why it's not functioning.
Okay, go ahead.
The reason why is because you did not do your job. You did not know that these machines were supposed to be temperature controlled.
We don't have.
I went to that hospital after the minister. Some French doctors and the doctor, the guy that was there, the machines were not under air condition and they were not temperature controlled. That is the responsibility of the Ministry of Health to make sure that everything that is given to the country is taken care of. That is why it's not working.
Oh, okay, caller, anything else you want to...
Another question from you. I need to ask you, universal health care, where are you on that issue?
Okay, because the machines.
This one, Minister. Caller, is that all you need to ask?
I need to ask her, where are we in terms of universal health care?
Okay, she has noted that. Anything else so that the minister will respond to you? And
Hello?
yes, I'm saying anything else you need to ask?
Yes. I need to ask her another question.
Okay, caller.
Why, as the Minister of Health, why is she not taking the major role in giving the tourists that come to St. Lucia a test like Barbados, like Trinidad? Why are we not giving them a second test? Because we know that they are coming into St. Lucia with negative papers that are false.
All right.
So I want to know why is she not supporting that?
Okay, caller. So,
Protecting the people of St. Lucia or the tourists.
okay, thank you, caller. The minister will respond. Okay, caller? All right, caller. The minister will respond to you. Okay?
Okay, first of all, some of these machines are not functioning because when we came in, the machines had been sitting there for so long.
Hi, caller. Please hold on the line.
The machines had been sitting there for so long that at the point we came in, they needed to be maintained and to do some maintenance with these machines. And this is what has been happening since we came. They actually the MRI machine is missing some part, something. that we've been trying to source. Also, the people that were trained to operate that machine, most of them have moved away. We have done additional training, but we have not been, now that we have done additional training, the machine is still missing this part and it cannot function, right? So there are quite a few issues with machines and you know, the maintenance of there was no maintenance agreement, so that is posing a problem also at OKEU. Our engineers are doing the best they can, our planning unit, but you know, this hospital, we have never had to embrace such a huge substructure with that kind of machinery. And the machinery, it requires experts. So every time you have a breakdown or something is missing, you need to ensure that you get the right part and you get the right persons to maintain these machines. Even our elevators in the government buildings, when they fall apart, they have to call people from outside of the country. So let alone these machines, you can well imagine. And they cost a fortune to get them, you know, up and running. So we are doing the best that we can to get all these machines up and running, but at this point in time, especially with COVID, we were supposed to have some consultants here with us to help us, to assist us with all of that, and that has been placed on the back burner because we cannot get anybody on island to do what we need to do.
Good night, caller.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Thank you for holding.
And good evening to Mrs. Belrose and Isaac.
Good evening.
Good evening, caller. Yes.
The last caller, Dr. Mondesi, he's banned from calling this radio station.
As far as I know.
This is a guy who just likes the sound of his voice. You may see any chagrin. And I don't think you should waste your time answering him because he already knows the answers to most of the questions. But he just cannot keep himself away from this radio station. Anyway, Ms. Belrose, I would like to address you specifically with regard to culture. I have a particular interest in the flower festivals, La Rose and La Marguerite. And I didn't hear you mention anything in particular with regard to those flower festivals. Could you just elaborate and tell us what plans you have to see the expansion and the more recognition and work to be done with regard to those two flower festivals, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, the La Rose, La Marguerite, these are traditional flower festivals for us, and they are significant in terms of what they portray, you know, to our people. And so every year the cultural development celebrates every year. There's one in particular, the La Rose Festival, that is hindered in terms of the participation of our students, which is really where the foundation in terms of that programming really should be within the school system. But generally every year what we do is we provide the support. We have a very creative team within the Department of Department of Culture, and that is through the Cultural Development Foundation, and they work to ensure that it happens. What we've been able to do is, in this last year, we've been able to assist some of the groups in doing recording of the music, the sounds. We've seen an influx of young people coming into the singing of the various music, the songs for the various events within the festivals. And so what we are trying to do is to get these young people recorded, get the music recorded, and to do a lot more, filming, you know, of the presentations. We've also been able to document that well. I think the Cultural Development Foundation has been able to prepare a good documentary of the flower festivals, and so we do have that available for persons to view, and it's also on YouTube where it can be seen. But the issue there is for us to continue to support in whatever way we can. We've been able to infuse it a lot in the last 4 years. I know I too have challenged my people that in the early years, yes, we had the police, the fireman and the lawyer, but now in today's age, to make it more attractive to young people, you bring in the consultant, you bring in the IT specialists, and you expand the program, because the concept was ready to look at the society at the time and what is there, you know, to infuse that in the program and to make it even more exciting for young people to be a part of it. But yeah, there's good work going on around it. and the Cultural Development Foundation is doing all they can to ensure that continues to grow and expand. In terms of the budgets, we are still looking at that. In fact, the PM has asked that we give him accurate budgets, because I think over the years, culture had been so trivialized in terms of the contributions, financial contributions from the government, that these projects and programs have not been budgeted for properly. And so in the last year or two, we've sought to ensure that they give us accurate figures around what it will actually cost to deliver these projects in the right way, and we're working towards that.
Good night, caller. You on to Constituency Vibes? Hello?
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 Hello? Caller, are you there? Yes, Minister.
I meant to say a few words about the second test, because we hear a lot of noise about the second test.
Could you kindly hold, caller?
And in St. Lucia, we have our model, right? What we do is...
Please hold the line, caller.
We quarantine people for 14 days, because we have realized that the virus really, the symptoms really can manifest themselves anytime after the 7 days. Okay? So we do not want to test people after 4 days. What sense does it make to test a person after 4 days? They test negative, and then after 7 or 8 days, they are positive and you don't even know. You let them out there in your population, among your people, and they go and they infect your people with COVID. But you believe that because you have tested them after 4 days, all is well. It makes absolutely no sense to us here in St. Lucia to test after 4 days and allow people to go and mingle within our population, because we have observed ourselves, and the data shows that the symptoms usually show themselves anywhere from day 1 to day 13, 14. We've had cases on island where the people became symptomatic after the 7th day. So I do not know where the 4th day testing came from or what purpose it serves.
Okay, caller, welcome to Constituency Vibes.
Yes.
Hello? Hi, caller, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, caller.
Yes. I'd like to tell the minister that she should go in the file and she will see the purchasing order, the condition under which these machines were ordered, that the company that sold the machines to the European Union.
Okay, thank you very much for that information, caller. Yes, Minister, a very good point in terms of a lot of talk about
the testing after the 4th day. What we do, we ensure that people come here with their negative COVID tests. When they get here, we quarantine them for 14 days.
Please hold the line, caller.
If they become symptomatic at any point in time before that,
just hold the line, caller.
They are tested, and if they test positive, they are isolated. If they test positive, they are isolated. If they do not show any symptoms, they are kept until the 14th day, and then we let them go about their merry way. And we have seen that we do not have any evidence of somebody being in quarantine, going after 14 days, and then showing signs of COVID or coming back with COVID, being positive with COVID. So apparently and obviously, our model is working for us. And we do not have an issue with any country that want to test after 4 days and allow the people to go among their population. But we in St. Lucia have a model, and our model is working. So we have absolutely no intentions right now of changing that model. If at some point we believe we get information to show or indicate that we ought to change the model, the CMO will inform the country, and we will do so. But for now, it's 14 days quarantine, and if you become symptomatic, we test you test positive, we isolate you.
Good night, welcome, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Alexander. How are you?
I am good. Welcome to the show.
This is Champagne, and I've been listening to the program, and you had a call a few calls back, and this gentleman, by way of management, is not allowed to call this radio station for various reasons.
Okay, duly
now
noted.
it is my fault that I did not tell you,
And I'm saying I could have said to you in private tomorrow, but I want for all of the listeners that know that this gentleman is not permitted to call this radio station. So I'm calling you just to tell you, so all of our listeners could hear me saying that Mr. Mondesi is not allowed to call the radio station until management says differently.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
You know, I just want to add on what Mary said a while ago. I think when we look at our culture and the responsibility of our government, we have a responsibility for ensuring a peaceful, stable, and secure, society. And everything that is happening in health relates to culture in that respect. Because, we have to ensure that people are safe. And so the protocols that have been established...
Please hold the line, caller.
The protocols that have been established, the protocols that have been set, are an understanding of our own environment and what works for St. Lucia. What works for St. Lucia may not necessarily work for another island. Mm-hmm. But all the figures dictate that we are doing very well in terms of the management of COVID, and our people are happy with what is happening.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Because clearly the government has analyzed this. There's a strategic approach in terms of... Mm-hmm. Good evening, caller.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Bonsoir, bonsoir.
Merci, merci.
Merci, appel, merci, appel.
Oui,
merci, ça va sortir avant couler dans salle.
Oh, wow, ok, merci.
Bonsoir, tout gens salle de base.
Okay, thank you very much.
Eknia bonne Noël.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, merci. Yeah. So we have been able to manage this crisis as best as we can. We do not have anybody that can claim they are an expert, not anywhere in any country of the world. So we have to try and see what works.
Please hold the line, caller.
We have to try and see what works, and if it works, we hold it at that point until we have information to change it or to believe that, hey, there is something better that we can do. Because we don't have any experts to tell us, move. Even the countries that are testing after 4 days, look at look at what is happening in those countries. Do we want that to happen in St. Lucia?
Absolutely not.
The tourists come in, they come in with their negative test, they go straight into the hotel facility and they stay there. They are not allowed to come out in public. That way we are protecting our people. And this is our focus right now. To protect our population, protect our country, protect our communities from this virus. Because we do not know what the long-term effects are. We do not know so much about this virus that we all must ensure that we try not to get this virus.
Good evening, you're on to Constituency Vibes. Welcome, caller.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Madam Minister.
Good evening.
First of all, your volume is very, very low. I actually got to put to my ears to hear you guys. Secondly, you're not doing a job of excellence. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Don't answer no questions from the SFC guys. Because they cannot ask Kenya to be the worst leader in the history of the Caribbean, past the present, any questions. Don't answer no questions from the SFC. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Yes, indeed. You're on to Constituency Vibes. The number is 456-0931. And with us this evening, Ministers of Health, Honorable Mary Isaac, and Minister for Tourism, Minister in the Ministry of Tourism responsible for culture and the creative arts. The number to call is 456-0931. Minister, I don't know if it's the copycat, Barbados is doing something, everybody wants to do it and so forth, but as you're saying, we're very strategic in what we're doing to ensure that what works for us in our best interests.
That we keep what works for us, yes. Yeah. Now, at around this time of year, we would be enjoying the Festival of Lights. And the Lantern Festival. And they were running that on NTN from last year's program. And I thought this was so nice, And these are some of the things that we are missing because of, this whole COVID environment. But, we are missing it now. It's a sacrifice we have to make so that next year we can have all these experiences all these experiences and all our wonderful culture.
Hold the line, caller, please.
Where we can
That's what's happening.
Welcome, caller.
Good night.
Good night.
My lady, Madam Belrose Boswell,
Bonsoir.
also Madam Maria Isaac Boswell.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Paul.
Madam Belrose, what's the problem with the fascism? Masam kila moun ki de insan bagay kwesa la. Ek moun le fashi si badi de de holiday lady. Right? Kalau boleh espa.
Aha.
Kalau boleh si ba umlo kon sak. Busa bagay square. Poti pa lek tout zodi. Iki la by se travailler nous.
Au cap les contracteurs.
Oui.
Oh, ok. Mais ou pas travailler comme cela ou de ça va ça?
No, Madame Belrose, ça va travailler moi.
Oh.
Je peux pas pour passer rôle. On est square. Moi que je fais des fine, moi rien. Moi fait que ça la direct. Primaire parce que square pour hier. Même des pas besoin de tuer un rôle. Après c'est pour aller tout près with you. Tout ça dit avec la Madame Belrose. That's all right, Madame Belrose.
Oh, well, must have details about contract là, mais moi bien quand Castries City Council nettoyer là bien, so let's simply say the sun lundi bon matin, mardi bon matin, oui, mardi bon matin, yo ouais place là, regardez net avec belle. Oui, so nous bien quand ça, merci pour tout ça au fait.
Oui, mais I mean, look what Madame Belrose. Make sure hot supervise. Make sure hot supervise him by job and so on, okay? Now, Madame Mary Isaac.
Yes.
Est-ce que vous montez au défilé?
Oui.
Oui?
Oui.
Vous demandez
Et moi, vous aussi porter moi la monter.
Moi-même, now c'est central. Madame, même si vous êtes Belrose, là, je vais.
Vous pouvez supporter Sister Sarah, pas worry.
Madame Belrose, d'ici pour moi, à l'autre c'est moi. Moi-même, c'est comme ça, là.
OK.
Mais on n'y peut pas Sarah, on n'y peut pas Minister Sarah si pour c'est ça mon cadeau. Depuis vous bail un ministre flamboyant, ça all right.
Makaway.
Si pas ça vous pouvez jeter vos tout hein.
Makaway.
Si vous pas bail flamboyant, vous pouvez jeter. So
ça. Oui.
That one in advance. What is my dans la café en décembre? Au café avec la pêche. Moi, Parlement Isaac, vous avez point même à tout ça. Nous on est sans l'hôpital Saint-Jude.
Pas worry, 9 points, pas worry.
Anyway, you bonsoir.
OK, all right.
Bonne année.
Merci.
Mais enfin, pour laisser avoir connaître UWP, ou doit ou ni pour ça, là nous dit nous qu'à faire bagaille, nous qu'à faire bail. Et là nous dit là nous qu'à finir, nous qu'à finir. Vous ça? Hein? Oui, là nous dit nous qu'à faire, nous qu'à faire.
By the way,
Ah.
avant moi, l'autre côté. Mais que veut dire reconnaître à bord de City Council?
City Council, well, changer ma minister local government.
Oh, pas où il est?
Non, moi Ministry of Culture. Non, mala, moi sorti en city ah, so moi tiens femme city.
Mais à femme encore tu connais tout bail capacité.
Oui.
Vous savez pas là comment? C'est mais comment la reconnaître à bord?
Là ni on board, you just need to renew c'est ça.
Bon là bon la fini depuis octobre, Madame Isaac.
OK, all right. Well on l'autre board kay point allez, c'est ça.
Qui est?
Eh ben tout ça fait Covid là, nous devons pas regarder, là pas même ni Pierre Stories qui vient dans city là, so
avec Covid.
what's the rush?
La bonne année pour
Merci.
Bonne année après.
Right.
Nia Bonwell.
Call us on to Constituency Vibes. The number is 456-0931, and we are discussing issues of health, culture, and the creative industries in terms of how these ministries are strategically positioned to take St. Lucia forward and to do their part and their role in creating a new St. Lucia. The government is definitely committed. The United Workers' Party government is committed to transforming St. Lucia, and we can see that's happening throughout the length and breadth of St. Lucia. Tremendous work happening in health and all the various sectors.
And all the frontline workers, we have to applaud them for all the efforts that they have put into this whole COVID response. The ambulance drivers, the police officers,
Hold on a minute,
the
caller.
cleaners in those hospitals, the nurses, doctors, goes without saying, the people in the lab, all the frontline workers, the security officers. It has really been tough. We are hoping and praying that that vaccine rolls out so that our community, our work, our life can go back to a semblance of normalcy. It may never be as normal as it was, but at least we are hoping and praying that sooner rather than later we get to the point where we can start enjoying life again. But we have to say a heartfelt thanks to all the frontline workers, all our frontline workers.
Absolutely. Welcome, caller.
Yes, good evening, Ricky. Good evening, Minister.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just one thing I have to say to the Minister of Health. I need you to be very careful in your pronouncements when it comes to the hospital and youths. We do not want that situation repeating itself, what happened to the previous administration. Because earlier I heard you did mention of something. We're looking at the third quarter into next year.
I said hopefully the first quarter of next year.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Based on what I've seen, because I live right next door, you need to get some more information on that.
Okay.
Hopefully. And the third quarter is not viable, Madam Minister. But later down the year, before elections for sure. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, caller. The people are on the ground. The people are excited. They
Observation
want
is
us.
noted, but I said hopefully. I didn't say it will. I'm very careful with my words. I say hopefully we will get it during the first quarter of next year. That is just a hope. You know.
Welcome to the program, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Good night to the host.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
And also the two ministers.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah. My question is right now, because since you're talking about health, I'm asking the question that what role will the cannabis play in relation to the health, advancing the health of the nation? Because we've seen and we've heard about the decriminalization, legalization of cannabis and the beneficial, the medicinal aspect of it. And since the government have committed itself to establish a cannabis industry, sustainable cannabis industry in St. Lucia, where we at right now, and you being the Minister of Health, you understand, where we at right now? Where we at right now, because we know about the importance of the herb and the beneficial portion of it in relation to the medicine and etc. And even boosting up the economy, saving us from the jaws of the IMF and etc. So I will leave you there, Mr. Miss Minister, to respond.
Okay.
Or we have two ministers there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
No
Okay.
problem.
Thank you very much, caller.
Yes, in terms of cannabis, marijuana, and that sort of thing, we look at it from a health perspective, and we focus on the medicinal aspect of the plant. Okay, we do not have anybody in St. Lucia right now, any formal business that is organized to produce or to say. We do not have any research in St. Lucia. I know there's a lot of research everywhere else. We do not have any research in St. Lucia to say to us that it is safe, it is a safe herb, right? Or it is not a safe herb.
You mean in terms of the varieties, the various species and so
Right. We know that it has medicinal values, and that is where our focus is, where we will work with the Ministry of Agriculture in terms of, looking at the herb and what it can do for our country, what it is, how we can use it, and that sort of thing. Personally, I believe that it is a plant, and if people use it as they use all other plants, it will not be a problem. But when people turn it into something they can smoke, that is where the Ministry of Health will have a problem, and personally, I have a problem. Because I do not think that God created us to be smoking. We do not have a chimney. Our mouth is for eating, our nose for breathing, our ears for hearing.
Kindly hold the line, please,
So
caller.
when you see people smoking,
Hello, good evening.
Just hold the line a minute, caller.
whether it is cigarettes or a joint, anything that you choose to smoke, in my mind, it cannot be a good thing. So from a Ministry of Health perspective, and we are seeing, we also in control of the Wellness Center. We have an adolescent health program and unit at the Mental Wellness Center, and we see the results of youth, what happens to youth when they smoke. So we are totally against smoking at the Ministry of Health. However, looking at a plant and it has medicinal values, Ministry of Health is prepared and ready to work with that, as long as we can develop it into a product that is going to help the health of our people.
Thank you for holding, caller. Good night. Welcome.
Good night. I would like to put a question to the Minister of Health, please.
Go right ahead, caller.
Yes, what I would like to ask, sir, something that I have observed, the staff, the people who work in the hospitals, when they are finished their duties, they are on the street, on the road, in the buses, everywhere, with the same uniform that they are coming out of the hospital. And the same way, when they are going to work, they wear their uniform from home and they go to work. I think something should be done about this. People should take out their uniform from the hospital, put it in the bag to wash it when they get home, and carry their clean uniform and dress themselves at the hospital. And not to be walking the streets, the shops, everywhere in uniform.
Okay, thank you, caller.
That is one. And another thing I would like to say to the Minister of Health, they talk about health care for all. You go to the hospital many times. I am a diabetic patient. Many times, and they haven't got any syringes, needles, and insulin. So, I'm not a young person. I'm 80 years old. So when they don't have none at the hospital, sometimes you have, at my age, it is difficult to get to walk all around Viewfort or somewhere, or come back another day to look for needles and insulin. I don't believe, I know everything is in short supply, but I think because St. Lucia have so much diabetes, I don't think they should be short of needles in the hospital.
I agree with you there. Can I just ask you which hospital you're referring
Yes, Minister?
Can I ask you which hospital you're referring to?
St. Jude's.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you, caller. That's all you want to say?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
I agree with the caller in that they ought not to be short of needles, and I am going to make a call to see why that could have happened or why it is happening, if it is happening. Yeah, but I do not understand why they would be short of needles. That's why I asked which hospital, because I know that at OKEU and the hospitals in Castries that wouldn't happen. But you know, you never know why there might be a shortage of something, maybe from procurement they haven't received it or something, or the times that it comes up to them. So I will inquire about that.
Absolutely. Listeners and viewers, you are on to Constituency Vibes, our program this evening, and with us we have the Ministers of Health, Senator the Honorable Mary Isaac, and Minister within the Ministry of Tourism, responsible for culture and the creative arts, Senator the Honorable Fortuna Belrose. And of course, we're discussing and we're bringing to you the information that you need to get. Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller. Make your contribution.
Minister of Health.
Yes, Minister of Health.
Yeah, I listened to the response about the herb. And you only talk about this smoking thing. But it is not a smoking spree I'm talking about, you know. Because the commission presented, the St. Lucia Cannabis Commission presented the report. And it is a public health approach report we presented.
Oh, okay. You were talking about the report.
Let me tell you, listen now.
Okay.
There's this regional cannabis regional report. I mean, yeah, where Professor Antoine chaired. Yeah, just now, there's also the Pumando report, where we spent about almost 3 weeks to 4 weeks at the Royalton discussing the issue. But you only highlighted smoking. When the report was presented on the 15th of July to the Cabinet of Ministers, everybody embraced it. Everybody embraced the report. All the reports. So I am saying, even the Prime Minister talk about the products and the oils and all the type of things.
Okay, okay.
It was also even highlighted the sacrament of the Rastafari people. I mean, everything was well embraced
For
and
religious
supported.
purposes, yes.
But you now talking about the smoking. I'm not talking about any smoking spree. I am talking about the public health approach that is presented, and that is what the minister that is the point minister, Brother Bradley, presented also at that same meeting on the 15th.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I am saying to you that we're talking about the medicines and whatever, no problem. I just want to know your perspective in relation to see whether you're in favor of the legalization of the marijuana, of which when a Miss Rees or Miss Hippolyte Deska, the economist, presented the report, remember she said we should not even consider decriminalization of marijuana. We have to talk, because he gave the two options. We have to be discussing the legalization of the marijuana, whereby the country will benefit out of it. You know what I mean? Benefit in terms of the building the economy of the country. You understand? So, listening to you right now, I am not fully satisfied with that report where you only focusing on a smoking. We're not talking about smoking. We had the meetings all over the country. I mean, it wasn't a smoking spree or smoking and discussion we had with the people. You understand? The report has been presented to the Cabinet of Ministers.
But I don't know
but
that
I've always
the
said
person...
so, you know.
I don't know
Our
that...
biggest problem would have been the politicians. You know why? For the approval of this thing, because it is right now in the hands of the Cabinet of Ministers.
Yes, but I didn't know you were referring to the report.
It needs to reach the Parliament for whatever debate or the bill has to be presented to see whether the Parliament will approve this thing. And that is what I am waiting on, or we are waiting on the people of St. Lucia. I mean, in relation to, I am personally not satisfied with the dragging of the feet. You know, you need to expedite the thing, because remember the United Nations have asked all the countries of the world to remove marijuana as a dangerous drug on the list, you know. The UN have asked St. Lucia, the whole world, US and all over. You know what I mean? Look right now in the US, it is not a state law again. It is a federal law whereby the legalization of the herb. So we need to step up, because they are the benefit, we can see the benefit that can be derived from the herb. We had Dr. King on the commission. Myself was on the commission. And many others were on the commission representing the various institutions. You understand?
But
I need to hear something a little better. I am very much satisfied with the way Brother Bradley is moving. I'm very much satisfied with the way Brother Bradley is moving, being really sympathetic with the community in relation to the freeing up of the herb. But the Minister of Health has a pivotal role to play in this thing. You mentioned about the Minister of Agriculture. Yeah, I mean, because when we did the session at the Pumandu, at the Royalton, the marijuana came under the auspices of agriculture as a crop. You understand? You write about this thing. But you now, with the stroke of the pen, to remove this herb as a dangerous, as Class A to Class C. You understand? Anyway, good night and thanks for the patient hearing. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I was not aware that he was referring to the report because the person just called and talked about what do I think about marijuana and the herb and so on and so forth. So, but he is right about the report. And right now, the report is, we are looking at the legislation.
Kindly hold the line, caller, just a minute.
We are looking at the legislation and how it has to be crafted. So they are drafting the required legislation. Because this is a very sensitive matter. We got to the point where everybody agreed that, you know, we should move forward. But then when you look at the details, we had to be very careful and cautious and allow the legal people now to decide on how they are going to approach legalization, decriminalization. So he ought not to lose faith or lose heart, because
Kindly hold a minute, please, caller.
because right now the report is really, we are really drafting the legislation to address the whole issue of marijuana use and the herb and so on. Also, we recognize that people do have a right to their religious, ceremonies and so on, using the herb. So all of that, and the medicinal value of the herb. And of course, even in my response, I mentioned that
Kindly hold the line a minute, caller.
we recognize the medicinal value. From a health perspective, we recognize the medicinal value of the herb. So the gentleman with...
Ouais, mon aki kuya qui dit qu'on va jouer mettre là. À tes salti bis, yo ka ba mettre tous les matins, moi même so diabète. Et quand on tout 8 mètres moi.
OK.
Et tout ka 8 mètres bis les ma jaune c'est là aller point. Check vieux pour ka dit ça. So pas man yo.
Well, nous pas jamais savoir.
Yo ka dit toute bêtise.
Ou pas jamais ça, peut-être on va été fait juste ça là et puis c'est juste une malchance. Vous comprenez?
Yo ka dit n'importe quoi Mary Isaac.
So mon content couiller. Mon content couiller pour dire
che papa chasse.
OK.
Papa chasse ka si dit. Kuyo.
Mon content couiller.
Ata fait une bouche. Tout ça a vivre avec Ishmael et la moyenne.
Yeah.
A quitté pièce.
Merci
à
pour
peu.
support.
A still sorti par Catherine, better known as Macoulé dans Salfibi.
OK.
Bonsoir.
Merci à peu pour support. Dia Bonwele. Yes, so the report is being considered very, very seriously. We've had other committees formed out of, the wider group, and it is something that is going to unfold, hopefully next year.
Good evening, caller. Welcome to Constituency Vibes.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Mr. Belrose.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Isaac.
Bonsoir.
Et tout ceci à ma population. Hello?
Ricky Alexander, bonsoir.
Hello?
Hello, nous gâtons?
Patane,
Oui, nous gâtons.
et patane qui couille avant madame avant ma poule. Qui va là qui dit l'hôpital Vakani Soulina.
Oui, nous gâtons, nous gâtons.
Vakani Soulina, Vakani Nedla, Petria. Moi, je suis diabétique for 53 years. Je suis diabétique. Je ne peux pas jamais aller tester l'hôpital ici. Et bien, l'hôpital ici. Et bien, quand il est ici, pour faire insuline, et bien, c'est tout. Madame, ça, je dis mati, mais il s'agit mati. Il s'agit mati, je dis mati, mais il s'agit mati. Tout ça, c'est les bas qui comme ça. Il y a mati à ce coyo. À ce autre coyo, mati. Ok, bonsoir.
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 Yes, ministers.
Yes, I think the other important point, and I think my colleague handled it very well with respect to the work being done by the AG's office in terms of the legislative framework for the marijuana or the cannabis use.
Kindly hold the line, please,
An
caller.
important part of that is when you look at the culture, and our society. Many of our young men, have been incarcerated, for having a stick of marijuana, joint, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And it has affected us, in a big way in this society. And so all of these are issues that we have looked at, as a government. And of course, hopefully when the document comes before the public, it will be something that they would appreciate with respect to the amount of time that we took, before we come out to the public with a response with respect to the cannabis industry.
Good night, caller. Welcome. Hello, caller. Good night. Welcome. Caller, can you hear me? Hello, good night. Hello, caller, can you hear us? We seem to have lost it.
Good night.
Okay, good night, caller, welcome.
Good night. We not seeing nothing on the television. We not seeing. Not seeing nothing on the screen.
You are on channel 115 on cable?
Okay.
It's channel 115. Okay? Thank you, caller.
You see, there are a lot of complications when it comes to drafting that legislation, because you have to consider if you legalize it, first of all, do you legalize it or decriminalize it?
Welcome, caller. Kindly hold the line.
And then you have to look at what point do you draw the line? Do you expunge? Whose records will you expunge? How much will you allow the people who have been incarcerated as a result of, having a little joint or two or whatever? How much do you allow? How far will you go in terms of expunging records and, letting people off the hook and that kind of thing? So these are some of the intricacies that we have to, the law must consider and we have to look at. So it is not just a straight case where you just say legalize it or decriminalize it. The legislation has to be very precise when we are looking at, something like that. So this is what is taking a little while. But I want the caller to, he's very passionate about it. And so is the minister, Minister Bradley Felix. And Minister Bradley Felix is not going to, let them down. He is very, very, he is very determined to see that what is right is done when it comes to, especially these young people who are incarcerated for just a little, joint, marijuana joint and so on and so forth. So I want him to take heart and hang in there with us. The legislation will soon roll out.
Thank you, Minister. Welcome, caller.
Oui, bonsoir, représentant.
Bonsoir.
Proposition les ocaviers la Kaiser aussi.
Merci un peu.
Je voulais parler about ces nos-là qui ka travel, c'est mon ka parler about qui ka travel, about transport et uniform you. So, et calé à la screen à tes blancs pour vous, hein. Et moi, je voulais demander, est-ce ça y a dit à aller pousser nos-là tout seul? What's about the doctor? Est-ce qu'on est pour changer radio? Question à moi, je veux demander, si had nos-là contaminé et puis check disease, nous-mêmes venons en patient, est-ce qu'on est pour changer radio avant nous aller à bon boss? Because si c'est un bagage qui a contaminé le monde, so which means nous pouvons même contamination ça. So là nous quitter l'hôpital là. Si nous là n'est pour changer hadli, nous-mêmes n'est pour changer had nous tout, because nous avons même disease ça bon, l'autre véhicule qui a tout le monde nous get in contact et puis. So moi voulais savoir pousser mon qui a dit ça pour mon qui a dit ça. Est-ce docteur n'est pour tirer hadli? Et si nous en chemin et nous trouvons qu'on nous a dit dans un problème, et que nous là en uniforme nous quoi qui contaminé et puis whatever disease nous quoi est-ce nous quoi couiller à sous nos là pour help? Ça c'est tout moi qu'a demandé avec moi là qu'a coûté merci.
Merci un peu. Merci un peu.
Ouais, nous tous les pour regarder nous, hein. Nous tous les pour prendre cas nous. Ces docteurs qui sont là, ils ne sont pas supposés aller quitter l'hôpital là, et même là, même uniforme là, ils ont occupé ces patients là et puis là. Mais en même temps, actuellement, tout le monde cadeau, nous n'est pour sanitize, nous n'est pour laver la main.
Good night, caller. Just hold the line a minute.
N'importe côté nous y est, nous qu'à quitter, nous n'est pour laver la main, nous n'est pour sanitize. So toutes ces bagages là qui protègent nous n'est pour garder pour nous ça protège nous. Les nous dans ces situations là puisque les moi ai un docteur moi pas qu'à dire moi pour tirer tout had moi et bien changer had moi puisque moi ai un docteur mais ça pas means pour dire moi docteur a touché had moi et bien moi touché had docteur un os ka venir yo ka attendre ou peut-être yo pas même touché had là on est sous là on pour tirer had là prendre côté yo ka mettre en gant on sous si yo besoin faire rien puis had so c'est qu'on moun ka faire qu'on yo paie avec ce qu'on nous ne pouvons garder pour qui manière nous quand ça prend quelque nous-mêmes les nous on dit dans ces qualités environnement ça là so pour nous pour quelque nous là il faut prendre quelque de là nous là pas ni en côté ça bien changer hadli et bien bail comme ça de là nous là pas dans situation côté il a contacter personne so il même kaka chile well hadli pas ni pièce jam c'est bien I ka ale la ka li. Mais yo pas supposé aller et puis même had la yo ko chipe moun nan. Docteur et puis non pas supposé faire ça. Actuellement là et puis Covid ça ou ka hen c'est tout le monde ni pipi ya sou yo. Tout le monde qui travaille en Victoria Hospital, yo ka mette pipi yo et puis là yo ka sorti yo ka tiye pipi.
Merci Apil, welcome caller.
Hello?
Hello, good night, welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
We can hear you, go ahead caller.
I have a general question.
We're listening, go ahead caller.
Okay. I'm looking at the marijuana issue. Looking at the marijuana issue, I am wondering if you have a situation with a substance that is already classified as illegal, and then in one way or the other you make it legal, or I would even say more accessible, how do you expect to control people when the thing that was already not legal could not be controlled? When you one way or the other legalize, how will you control people? The next question is this. As a health issue, what happens to somebody? Isn't smoke in itself a danger to health? Isn't smoke a problem to anybody's health? When people put smoke in their system, isn't it damaging their very system one way or the other? The other thing is that any substance that you will put that can damage your mental capacity is a problem. So this whole issue of legalizing, decriminalizing, or anything like that, remember the people behind that are only interested in making money for themselves. They don't care who dies, who go mad, who go crazy. They just don't care. All they are thinking of is how to make money out of this thing. Even though they kill the whole population, they don't care. So I think the Ministry of Health and other ministries should look into this thing in a more serious manner, because the whole idea of making it one way or the other accessible and legal, as far as I'm concerned, is crazy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Well, Minister, certainly the issue of the balancing the medical properties.
Yeah, but that is what the Ministry of Health is concerned about, the smoking aspect of it. But in
Can we
terms
hold
of
the line,
the
caller?
medicinal aspect of it, we don't have an issue with that. Neither do we have an issue with people who smoke it for religious purposes, because it's not like the gentleman said a while ago, it's not a smoking spree. They do it, and it is done in a very respectable fashion, and it is done, in a systematic way.
Just hold the line a minute. Welcome, caller. Go ahead.
But
like alcohol. Good night, Madam Minister, and good night, Mr. We have the same issue with alcohol, do we? Because when the world say they had illegal manufacture of alcohol, the system accepted it, and right now this is one of the largest killer in the world on tobacco. But they accepted by the same crazy talk about it will damage people's health and all stuff like that. The system accepts it, and right now we have the herb, and everybody has so much issues about it. It's the same thing. It's a process. We have to evolve and see how we will deal with certain things. Because as far as I'm concerned, alcohol and tobacco has taken more lives than marijuana. You make the research if you will. So I don't know when these older people coming on the phone and tell health minister to look at people who smoking and stuff like that. It was the same issue with alcohol. It was illegal.
Yeah.
And now they make it legal and put the marijuana down and say all that it gives, making it crazy and stuff like that. So we have to try and do that on another perspective. Thank you, Madam Minister.
Thank you very much, caller.
Yes, we have to have self-control. We have to know how to, how to use certain things. It's just like people that use the computer and electronic media and stuff like that to promote pornography. It is illegal, but they do it. You understand? So you have to be able to control yourself.
Can you hold the line, caller?
It's just like when you drink. If you drink too much, you are damaging your system. But it doesn't mean they have to make alcohol illegal. You understand? People have to know how to control themselves. Excesses are never good. Anything that you engage in excess, it's going to impact negatively on your health. So people have to be more concerned about their health, about healthy lifestyles, and have to be able to control themselves. And we are talking about medicinal marijuana. We are not talking about people just smoking marijuana and so on and so forth. So we have to, understand what the debate is about.
Absolutely, an important distinction. Welcome, caller.
Yes, thank you. Good night to you, Mr. Alexander, and
Good night.
the two ministers.
Good night.
Good night.
Mr. Moderator, I would like for you to give the ministers some time to be able to answer the question that I'm about to ask. Considering, ministers, that, well, you have not been elected, so I can't really ask you about achievement in constituency. And since your program is about Constituency Vibes, I would like to ask...
just call them. We're just letting you know what's, from a health perspective, the various things that happen in the various constituencies. You have health centers, you have wellness centers. So it impacts the population in all the various areas.
And the constituency. But I would like to ask the question, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead, caller.
Should you be given that opportunity, should you be elected in the various constituencies, what are some of the things that you would wish to achieve for your constituencies?
That's a very good question, you know.
Yeah.
And there's so much that, and I think we have to look at
Just a minute, caller, you're still online, you listen. Okay, we lost that call.
I think we have to look at the status quo and how it is changing now. You used to find more men in politics, and now you are finding women in politics. And you see tonight there are 2 women here. And of course, I'm sure we can give you a whole ton of things that we can do. And a lot of them don't even necessarily require a lot of money.
Can you hold the line, caller?
For instance, we have a lot of poverty in both of our constituencies. And both of these constituencies have been predominantly Labour Party constituencies. And they are among the poorest of the constituencies in St. Lucia. Look at the number of ghettos, the number of gangs and stuff like that. Look at where they originate and so on and so forth. But in my constituency, there's a lot of poverty. A lot of people who cannot afford. A lot of people who do not know, you know, they don't know what the future holds or where their next meal is coming from. With this COVID situation right now, it is even worse. I don't even know how some people will make it over the season. So these are some of the things. And when you look at education, we have had some prominent people from Castries South, yes, but very, very few. When I check to see how many children are going to Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, there are not many. And this is what I lament about all the time when I'm in my meetings and so on. I ask the women, where are you? You are 30, 40 now. Where are you going to be in 20 years' time, in 30 years' time? You're not working. There are a lot of single mothers. The fathers walk away. I would want to ensure that these people become more conscious, you know, more family-oriented, more conscious about the things that they can do to raise their children, to have, you know, more positive people coming out of these different communities. And my focus for me would really be, and that's what I focus on right now, poverty. I check to see children who drop out of school before they complete, you know, their schooling. And when you go to them and you check, I try to bring them back to school. When you check, they say to you, my mother couldn't afford to give me uniform. My mother couldn't afford the bus fare. My mother couldn't afford. And it's always because they cannot afford. And sometimes these children hang in there. They try. But at the end of the day, they just drop out because their situation is so bad. Some kids are born into poverty. How do you get out of that in those communities? So I would really do everything that I can to ensure that more people in my constituency get a good education so that they can appreciate what it is to know how to get out of poverty. You know?
Yeah.
Before we go to you, Mr. Barrows, we have somebody in line. Hello, just go ahead, caller.
Yes, hello, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I have a question for Miss Belrose.
Go right ahead, caller.
Yeah, I see she's so relaxed and all the time we only hear about Miss Isaac and Miss Belrose, are you the one responsible for culture?
Yes.
Yeah. As far as culture is concerned down here, I am very much concerned about the legacy of Cesar Descartes. You understand? I'm not hearing any, in terms of the curriculum Is there anything in the curriculum as far as educating the youths and them about Cessin Descartes and the work of Cessin Descartes? For example, there's also, they were trying to improve an area in Monipo, Vietnam, to have Cessin Descartes' home to be, they were trying to have it to be as a museum. You upgrade it to a museum. What is the government, what is the situation about the position of the government as far as that museum down at in Monrepo in the name of Cessin Descartes and educating the youth, because it's from kindergarten you're supposed to educate them about the culture, you know. But by the time they reach about 12 and 14 and 20 something, it's more them Jamaican vibe cattle thing, they're more on. So we need to hear a little more about Cessin Descartes and the work of Cessin Descartes and that museum. It's a while, you know. Yeah, I need to hear something about that museum where they were supposed to upgrade the house to a museum.
Yes.
In Monipo.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
That's my concern, and that's what I have in mind to say right now.
Okay, thank you, caller.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Well, as you know, the Folk Research Center is the agency that's responsible for that Cessin Descartes facility in Monrepo. Of course, the government of St. Lucia remains committed to it. Like everything else, this year we have been affected severely by COVID. So in terms of the additional initiatives we wanted to do with respect to financing, that has been a challenge for us. But the Folk Research Center
Can you hold the line, caller?
With respect to the continuity and the education within the school system itself, we teach our heroes. Cessin is one of our national heroes around culture, and that data is very much available. I know that recently the Folk Research Center, along with the National Youth Council, also signed a memorandum of understanding with respect to the exchange of information and sharing and knowledge sharing around our folk culture and our citizenry. And so there's work going on in that area. We consistently there as a government agency to support, enable, facilitate, and create the environment for that to happen. But yeah, we have agencies that have been assigned, you know, to doing the work that is required there.
Okay, caller, welcome. Good night.
Yeah, good night, Ricky.
Good night, sir.
Night to your guest.
Good night.
Now,
Good night.
Ricky, we come back. I'm just stepping into the marijuana issue.
Yes, go ahead.
We can see the division between, you know, what different people are thinking. Some for and some against. Now, I want to put out two things. One, the sort of information in which the cabinet of ministers will be going by. I am not entirely privy to what would be accessible for them, but I'm thinking of two fronts. One, I mean, we in the Caribbean, the West Indies, we are a small region, so to speak. What is the CARICOM position? How is that helping the different islands in the Caribbean to have a common position? Because whatever the effects of marijuana are going to be, it's going to be the effect similar, I wouldn't say the same, but similar on the human body. So there must be one body of information that can assist in how these islands are going to go forward. The CARICOM should have the benefit of the University of the West Indies, any research done. As a matter of fact, I was reading some paper done by some, I can't remember now, but some expert researcher who was not too keen on, you know, going wholesaling to the marijuana thing. He might be right, he might be wrong. But what I'm saying is that what is CARICOM doing to help these islands come to the best decision with regards to the marijuana situation? Outside of CARICOM, I want to come on the local front. What really is the discourse from the Medical and Dental Association? They need to be saying something that to help guide not only the people, but the cabinet of ministers. But, you know, There might very well be division within the medical community, but we don't know. We're not hearing anything. So I think, quite apart from the people, what they want or what they don't want, and what the cabinet of ministers can or cannot do, I think two entities, CARICOM and the local medical fraternity, need to be forefront in guiding this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Caller, you're on to Constituency Vibes 4560931. We are approaching that hour, so we'll take two more calls, and then we'll allow the ministers to wrap up. Minister, yes. Back to you, Minister Belrose, in terms of the question was asked to you.
Yes, in terms of what we do in the constituency.
If you were elected.
If I were elected.
Can you hold a minute, caller?
Yes, I think one of the critical things is the empowerment of people. And I think working in the Ministry of Culture, we've been able to get the opportunity to do a lot of work in terms of empowerment of young women within that constituency. So the empowerment is one. The housing is another major issue because, you know, we've seen, you know, the degradation in terms of people's livelihood with respect to where they live, you know, in the communities. Poverty, the roads, the squatting, you know, and it's incessant exposure to what is not right, you know, for children. Children need to be children. And so I think in some of the communities, yeah, they're very much deprived of that. They're very much deprived of their childhood growing up in a decent home. And so I think there's a lot of work to do on the ground. It's not beyond government. I think if you target properly, it can be achieved in quick time. And I think, you know, in terms of empowering them, which is one of the key facets on which we are built, making sure that people are independent and they can fend for themselves at an early age. I think that's what we bring, you know, to the table. And Mary spoke about the education, which is really what she wants to do, but empowerment of people, providing the skills for them and getting them to see the models that exist. Because, you know, there are always people who have been through it, you know, and have done it. And they are models for us to show. And I think it's important for us to be able to achieve that. In Castries East, it's a very diverse community. You have persons who are very wealthy, you have those who are middle class, and you have those who are very poor. And I think what we can do is use the strength of that community to help build, you know, those who are not capable and able, you know, to have it. But we do have what it takes to do it. Our government has shown that within the last 4 years, we've been able to move things around in communities and transform things. And it's not beyond us to make those changes in the communities. I think the community, these communities just have to stick with the United Workers' Party, because this is the party for change, transformation, and hope. You know, if you look at the records, Mary spoke about Castries South and Castries East, Library. A lot of these communities, you know, there's so much missing, you know, with respect to the oomph, you know, and life. And we need to be able to do that. And I think we can do that if we're given the opportunity for transformation and to work with the communities. But so far, what we've been doing in the last 4 years, it has been working. The community is responding well. The people are listening. So we are creating jobs, providing opportunities for them, giving them the opportunity for improved housing here and there, because we're working, you know, and we're trying to meet those needs for those persons who come to us for service. Our responsibility as ministers is to serve all the people, you know, as best as we possibly can, using the resources of the government, no matter what people say. That's why we are ministers of government. So we use the access to the state's resources to facilitate the people in communities. We're not the parliamentary reps, but we work in the government and we have a responsibility to provide that support. That's what we are doing.
Transforming St. Lucia. Welcome, caller. Good night. Hello, caller. Are you there? Okay, we lost that caller.
That's one of the pillars also of eradicating poverty, jobs, providing jobs. And as you know, when we came in, the unemployment rate was so low, was very high. The unemployment rate was very high. And look at how we were able to create so many jobs, you know, for young people. And that was making a big difference in all the communities. But now with COVID, we've had to roll back. Everybody came back from the cruise ships. Everything is closed down. So that is creating a real problem. But you have to be able to create jobs in those communities. You have to be able to empower people, like Minister said, give them additional skills so that they can provide for themselves, and educate.
Ministers, welcome, caller. Good night. Welcome to Constituency Vibes.
Good night.
And you are our last caller.
Caller a while ago asking about the what is CARICOM's position on the herb. There is the report of the CARICOM Regional Commission on Marijuana 2018. CARICOM's report on the herb is to legalize the herb. You understand?
Yes, caller, we hear you.
That's CARICOM's report. Again, that same caller talk about consultation in relation to the herb.
All of that has been
and people have to be part of it, and we had all the different ministries, institutions as part of the commission.
Medical and Dental
Association. Of the commission.
Yes, we had
the
everybody.
Attorney General in West St. Lucia, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Equity, the Cannabis Movement, the leader of the opposition, the National Youth Council, the St. Lucia Christian Council, the Annual Council for the Advancement of Rastafari. So many people were involved in relation to that whole report, the St. Lucia Cannabis report, and also the CARICOM report. And if St. Lucia is a signatory of CARICOM, all what people have to do is to adopt the report, my brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Bar Association. Well, when you adopt the report, you then have to draft the legislation.
That's right.
Yeah, and the legislation, I understand the legislation because I was told that all the information are really right now in the hands of the Attorney General.
That's right.
Yeah, so the Attorney General is the person that is supposed to be doing the drafting and to present this thing for us as ASAP.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're working on it diligently, Carl. They are working on it diligently. I say the Attorney General Chambers.
I'm not asking to rush anything, because I know in drafting laws, it takes a little time.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, we're listening to you, caller. Yes, you're right.
Hello, I'm Ricky.
Yeah, I say we're listening to you. Yes, you're right. It takes some time. It's important we do it right.
So the CARICOM, and St. Lucia is a signatory of CARICOM, and there's a CARICOM report on marijuana. So all what people have to do, read the report. St. Lucia have to present the CARICOM report as a signatory of CARICOM.
And we have our own report that we deal with a lot of consultation.
Yeah, and then the Attorney General will work with whatever information from the St. Lucia Cannabis Commission, the CARICOM's report, the Promandu report, and other report research otherwise. You understand?
Yes, we do.
The medical fraternity was also involved as a technical team in relation to the Commission's report also. The contribution is also part of the report.
Yeah.
You understand that? So whatever we have to do, I can see there's a problem in terms of we need to educate the people a little more. Make the report available and have more discussion in relation to the herb. We can use Ricky's platform to do this thing and other platforms.
Absolutely, we welcome. We're here to disseminate information. We are here to disseminate information to help develop and grow our people.
And obviously, when we get the document from the Attorney General's office, it will have to go back to the community for feedback as well.
The approach is a public health.
That's right.
It is a public health approach. And we're very much concerned about the youth.
That's right.
You understand? There will be legislation and laws in place because somebody won't be able to walk the town of Castries and smoking a marijuana on Jeremy Street and anyhow.
That's right.
They will arrest them the same way,
That's right.
There will be laws in place to regulate all of these things.
That's right.
Because we are concerned about people with asthma, people who have health issues. There will be no smoking zones, You understand me? You won't be able to sell marijuana to minors, people who are under 18 and them type of thing. Although Dr. King told us that he's supporting, he's introducing marijuana to somebody at the age of 22. The Rastafari is not really want to conform with this thing, but at the same time, we have to look in the interest of our country and the people.
Yeah.
All the time, and that's the focus of the United Workers' Party.
Do you understand?
The people are at the center of what we do. And so it will take time,
anyway,
but when we come up,
we'll be good. I want the show to be mine.
Yes.
So I'm allowing other people to make their contribution, and because we have to be conscious and concerned about others.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the time.
Thank you, and we'll take one more call to wrap up the show before we do. The number is 456-0931. You're on to Constituency Vibes. With me this evening, we have Minister of Health, Senator the Honorable Mary Isaac, and Minister within the Ministry of Tourism responsible for culture and creative arts, Senator the Honorable Fortuna Belrose. And of course, we have been having wonderful discussions. This program is to give you the information. We are saying that we do not have the information. You're not aware what is happening. We bring the ministers there to you. We bring the technocrats there to you so that we can discuss the issues, how we develop solution, how we move forward. Minister, let me pose a question to you. When I understand the politics and look at the politics, the focus of the United Workers' Party seem to be on a trajectory for growth, for moving, and perhaps are we moving too fast? Are people not be able to catch up? Is that, do you think, some of the issues that we're developing, we're growing so far, is transforming the entire country, is transforming in the South, tremendous jobs with Ojo Labs, a lot of things are happening to empower people, provide economic opportunities for people?
Prior to COVID, I would say so. And it was even to the point where, like you said, I think we were moving so fast that people could not even, understand where we were going with all the development and everything else. So maybe a lot of people say COVID has created a pause, and good or bad. But we were in a very, very good place prior to COVID. All the jobs. I do not know of anybody in St. Lucia that needed a job that did not have a job prior to COVID or could not get one. You would be able to direct that person somewhere where they would be able to get a job, because majority of the young people were working in the hospitality industry, they were in school, or they were on cruise ships working somewhere. So that was taken care of. The youth unemployment, that was taken care of. Then we have the people who are not very skilled, and we had all kinds of different programs to empower these people and give them additional skills. We had people taking care of the elderly, and we were just moving and growing. And you look at Viewfort, the South, we were looking at the DSH, the racing, the horse racing, and that would have drawn all kinds of people with resources to St. Lucia. All these different aspects of development that we were looking at, and we were looking at it in every part of the country. Remember when we just got in office, we had a cabinet meeting in the South, unheard of. We had our inauguration in the South. So that is to show you how much this party is focused on developing the entire country. And Viewfort has laid there for so long, bare, barren, nothing going on, nothing happening, dying. And when we came into office, you just saw everywhere just started growing, things, shops everywhere, barbecue, everybody had something to do and was keeping busy.
Yeah.
So this is the party that know how to grow the country, how to develop the country, and how to create the jobs. And even with COVID, you are seeing now how we were able to hold the fort down, hold it down, protect our people. And now we are seeing a semblance of bouncing back to maybe where we were before the spike, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying we're out of the COVID situation yet, but at least I believe we know how to contain it. Because, and the workers, the contact tracing team, they have done a phenomenal job in arresting the spike that we were seeing. Of course, we expect there may be other waves. Somebody may do something, silly again, silly season, and cause a spike. We are hoping and praying it doesn't happen. But if it does, we know that we have the experts, we have the people with the experience now of this recent spike. We have them there on the ground with the CMO and her team, the people at the Ministry of Health, working hard to contain this epidemic. And this is what this party does. Sometimes I stay, Ricky, and I say, if it was not us in power, what would have happened? Because I know the kind of work the Prime Minister has put into this. The leadership skills that has gone into containing this virus is just phenomenal.
Yeah. I think, not to cut off, but I think the going back to your point with respect to were we moving too fast? I don't think we were moving too fast. When the machinery of government is well oiled, things are delivered for the people.
right.
Well, I was saying that in the context that people...
Yeah, things are delivered. So
things
we
are
were
moving.
all bought into the idea, the vision. We knew what we wanted to do. And I think we were able to achieve a lot of that in the last 4 years. And that's why, for me, I always like to point to models. I'm from sport. So as anything, we learn by seeing. You understand? And so the models, and so the model of Soufrière, the model of the square, I heard somebody comparing our square to the Soufrière square.
Yes.
You understand today? So, people need to see those things and make the comparison so they can see how far we've come. The
transformation.
The transformation, yes. So the model of the square, the model of the sports facilities, even the track in Soufrière, our young people need to see, yeah, it's actually happened, so they can believe. And so we were not moving too fast at all. I think we were set for takeoff in the way that we wanted to. And it's unfortunate that COVID has come. But looking at Castries and Castries East in particular, with respect to what can happen, could you imagine in 4 years? If that had happened, if the machinery was working the same way 25 years ago, could you imagine what we would have had? You understand, in the city, in the whole city and Castries East. And so we need to assure the people. We need to continue to assure them, and I think we can only assure them when they see the results and the work that we've done. And so I think they've seen that. They know it can happen. It's not impossible. And so I think those of us in the city are looking forward to the transformation of our city in a way that we all, would want. Because we born and bred in the city. So we need to have our transformation too. And I think it's not far in coming. We just need the people of St. Lucia to rally for us and to ensure that we stay on course in terms of the deliverables that we've set for ourselves.
And Minister, as we wrap up, we'll start up with you. I just want to throw to you, in terms of the United Workers' Party, its focus, its trajectory, how we've been moving, how we've been transforming and developing St. Lucia. The United Workers' Party, in its philosophy, in its trajectory, in its perspective, believes in empowering people and not giving people a fish.
That's right.
It's showing people how to fish.
Yes.
And in transforming people's lives in that regard. And perhaps, this is what is critical for us to develop as a people.
Critical for us to develop as a people, and the people also buying into the fact that this is what it is. So even when they come to our offices, they know they're not coming to sit down and beg. It's about how can you help me, you understand, move to the next level. And we take them through that piece as well. So we listen to them, but our responsibility is to help assist and direct them, you understand, to the areas and places they can go to find that support to enable them to become better, and more empowered, So for me, over the last 4 years, I think I really enjoyed this journey, working with the community and the people and seeing the growth. When you walk into a community and people are smiling, Miss, you can't remember me, you gave me that job or you gave me that opportunity. It's fantastic, to know that we were able to do that, working through our government. So we're grateful for the opportunity, and I'm sure Senator would probably see the same thing too, just to work and transform lives. We believe in it, and I think under the leadership of Alan Chasney, that can only continue, you understand, to grow. And you see how much we manage this country. Ministry of Health and the COVID response, this is St. Lucia's way of doing it, and we've been successful at it, and we need to respect that. The world was able to respect us, you understand, in doing so. And so we have to learn to appreciate and respect our own, because we've got good people, talented people here who are capable of doing it. And that's the opportunity that our government provides. If you're good, come to the fore. We embrace you, and we allow you to work with us to make sure we transform this place in the way that we would want, it to be transformed.
So it's not about moving too fast. It's about
just hold us out. Closing remarks.
Closing remarks. Yeah, I want to thank you for having us here, but more importantly, to wish St. Lucians a Merry Christmas. I think we can still be merry, and during this time, do a lot of introspection, reflection, and of course, focus on your family. But in so doing, embrace your neighbor, share the little that you have, if you have any. And of course, we just want to encourage you to adhere to the protocols, because it's what makes the difference, between having COVID and not having COVID, and ensuring that our society continues to do well, and you have a government that's committed to working with you. We are part of that, and we are enjoying being part of that process of development within our country. So I just want to wish all St. Lucians well during this COVID time.
Minister?
Yes, I was saying that it is not about moving too fast. It is about not stopping. You have to keep moving, keep progressing. And once George Odlum said, we don't step down, we step up. That's when they created the STEP program. And he said, what kind of nonsense is that? You step, and then where? Nothing else. When we put a step, then you have to step up. You can't step down. So this is what the United Workers' Party is about. This is what we are about. Causing everybody to step up, come up, so we can all rise together. It's not about just myself and my family rising and I leave everybody else behind. It's about just bringing everybody with me. Let us go. Let's do what needs to be done. So Minister is very, very correct in terms of, it's not that we're moving too fast, but we have to cause the people to step up and move with us, So grasp the ideas, grasp the whole issue of development, and let us all develop together. We are all in this together. If you look at the themes for the past 4 years, they've all had something to do with us. Let us do this together. The unity, you understand, is just like our cabinet, united. A great team of great people.
Nous tout ensemble.
That is right.
That's right.
And this is the amazing thing about our Prime Minister, the Honorable Alan Michael Chasney. And I think that is why he's been attacked so much, because the opposition can see that there is no stopping this person who's full of
drive, the
vision.
passion.
Oh yes. The energy there, it is just amazing. And no matter how many shots they take at him, no matter how they try to pull him down,
he still buys local bread.
Oh yeah, he buys local bread.
He
He goes to the supermarket,
He will eat his guava and keep on moving. That gives him energy. So we are led by a real amazing person. And that makes all the difference in the world.
And I think it's because he came from sport. I keep telling you all that too. He's from sport, so he understands the dynamics of the team and how to pull it all together. And in addition to that, he's got quite a few persons who are rooted from sport.
And Ricky is no stranger to sports.
So it works well, and what the public is seeing is real. It is really real, and this party we keeping it real.
So plug in there for my good buddy.
I want to say to all St. Lucians, to all our people in St. Lucia, let us come together and have a wonderful Christmas. This is time for introspection, like Minister said. It is a little downtime for us to think and try to strategize on how we move forward and how do we bring everybody to be at the same level, and let us keep on moving, So let us enjoy the little Christmas season, not get into any trouble. I always keep remembering the little song that says, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, I think it's some little kid under a pipe say, wash your hands, wash your hands. And they say you have to say that for about a minute or so. So we have to follow the protocols. Wash your hands, sanitize, wear your mask, social distance. Stay home as much as you can, and try not to be out there too much, because it's not even so healthy that you have a mask on your face all the time. So you go to the store, do it quickly, take what it is that you need and get out of there. Those kinds of things. You can stay home and enjoy the season with close family. We have already allowed for people to come together, people in the same household, to enjoy a little Christmas together. Start appreciating family life, and let us see how we approach the new year with, dealing with COVID. So Merry Christmas, everybody, and I wish everyone a bright and prosperous new year.
Thank you very much, Ministers. It was indeed a joy and a pleasure to have you. St. Lucia, we want to thank you for your calls and thank you for your understanding and your participation in the program. This is Constituency Vibes. We're looking forward to being with you again next week, Wednesday. All things being equal, by the grace and mercy of God. Thank you and good night.
People-centered, community-focused.
Of history.
Building
if you can do something along those lines, you might as well do it.
Tyler Kepner there, and here's Andy Powell with a broader.
Constituency Vibes with me, your host, Ricky Alexander, every Wednesday on Sky FM 93.1 from 8 p.m.